Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. Today we're going to talk about Dr. Craig, Dr. William Lane Craig. Okay, was asked the question recently. Has been like a lot of atheists are attacking him and everything. And this is exactly what I've been saying. I told you guys. You see, they asked him a question about Christianity and how do you prove it's true and everything like that. And he went on to like explain everything. But one thing I wanted to point out for you guys is this: when you're talking to an atheist, and you can learn this in your dawah also, or to any believer, any theist whatsoever, if you believe in God, when you meet someone that doesn't believe, the only thing you can establish at first is that God exists. Okay? What you need to prove at first is not your specific theism. Okay? If you meet someone that is an atheist and he knows what he's doing and he's not someone that is dumb, the first thing you need to prove is that God exists. Okay? Plain, God exists. And you have arguments, there are many arguments to prove this, that God exists. To now prove that your specific theism is what is right, smart atheists they will understand when you are trying to make that jump. When you try to make that leap of God exists to this is the objective truth. Okay, so one is objectively true that God exists. That's one. If it is objectively true that your specific theism is correct, that's second argument that you need to make. You cannot lump them together. If you try to lump them together, they will point it out. And it's not like something that is not, it's true. They have to point it out because it doesn't follow. It doesn't follow, okay, that God exists, and you need to make another case entirely for your specific theism. And you can do that. But many people, when they talk to atheists, they try to sneak both of them in. Okay, so let me break it down for you guys. There are two parts. The first part is establishing that God exists necessarily. Okay, so you have to prove that God exists necessarily. And by the way, Dr. Craig has done a lot of good works on this issue, of proving that God exists and time. And I mean, he's good. I like him. Okay, but the point is that when he tries to sneak in Christianity, and then in that video, in some other videos, he tried to like attack Islam. It's like, oh, take for instance Islam. That one is now obviously true. Why would you say that? Like you like God exists, and the guy is like, okay, and you're like, and there's only one truth, Christianity. And be like, okay, what about Islam and all those other guys? Be like, oh, of course, those ones are not true. Of course, Mormonism is not true. Of course, Catholics and all those guys, of course, they are not true. Of course, it's only Protestantism that follows logically, necessarily. Bro, that is a big jump. You cannot do that, okay? The first thing you need to establish is God exists. Plainly, if God exists or not, it doesn't matter which theism you follow. God would exist whether we exist or not. Okay, so that's the first start. You need to disconnect the two. Prove to him that God exists first. Once you've done that, okay, and you show him there are many arguments you can use. They will disagree. If somebody doesn't want to believe, he's not going to believe anyway. But you can rationalize it for yourself. For instance, I think the idea that God exists, it does one thing. It grounds our objectivity. It grounds the notion of meaning. To me, if God doesn't exist, there's no meaning. It's nihilism. That's the conclusion that will follow. Okay? If God doesn't exist, nihilism. All these videos I'm making is nonsense. Nothing matters. Nothing has meaning. Okay? That's what I believe. Now, God existing grounds meaning for me. It grounds the idea that things have meaning. Things have purpose. There's an ultimate thing that's purpose of all of this. That's what it grounds. Of course, atheists, staunch atheists, they will disagree with this. They don't want to accept that. So they will go for nihilism. Okay, see philosophers they've done this. David Hume and people like Nietzsche. Okay, they go for that. Many atheists will try to go around that too, but that's not the point. What theism does, the idea that God exists, it does many things that people actually don't get. It grounds our meaning, the idea that life even has meaning. It grounds that, okay, and it grounds the notion of why do we exist, okay, why those questions, those why questions that they told you never to ask. That's what theism does, okay, the idea that God exists. Now, what are your specific theism? You need to make another case for that, okay. That's where you now go into, for example, you can use Pascal's wager. If you're talking to an atheist, okay, you can use Pascal's wager to say, see, if you believe in God, you have nothing to lose, and it is objectively true. By the way, you cannot pretend. I mean, this one, I'll make another video about this. You cannot pretend to be a theist. You cannot, because inside your mind, it will be something that you truly believe. Okay, so that's one. So you have to, what's it called? To make a case for your own specific theism, you need to do a better job. You need to make a case why it is true. Okay. And by the way, this language is true. I'll make another video about this. Everyone saying this is true, this is true. Okay. It gets too much sometimes. Like, is Protestants are the Protestants true or the Catholics? Who is true? Or Eastern Orthodox? Everyone says true, true, true. Islam also is there. Okay. So now, after he has made a case for God existing, okay, now he wants to prove that Christianity is true. Don't just say it's true and bang the table. What about the other guys? You cannot use Pascal's wager. A Muslim cannot use Pascal's wager on a Christian, and a Christian cannot use Pascal's wager on a Muslim. Okay, it won't be the same like when you're talking to an atheist, because we both have soteriology. We have a concept of salvation. Both of us have it. So if you think you're safe with an atheist, you have nothing to lose. It's true. But with a theist that is so close to you, like Protestants and Catholics or Muslims, it's so close. We have the same concept. You go to hellfire, that kind of thing. Paradise, hellfire. If you believe this, if you don't believe this, you cannot use Pascal's wager then, because it's either you just follow your own belief no matter what, and you see the outcome at the end of the day. But you cannot just dismiss it just like that. Okay, so people do this, but even Muslims do this too. But I just want to show you, like, smart people will point it out. Smart people will be able to see through this. They will ask you questions. Why can't the other one be true? Okay, that's the next question. You say, okay, I believe in God now. You say, okay, how many gods are there? Okay, some people might be like, there are many gods. You can prove. I have arguments about why there has to be one God. We use perfect being theology and many other things. There has to be one. Now he believes there's only one God. Now what? What should I do? What am I supposed to do now? Okay, now I have meaning. There's meaning to life. God created us. Okay, what follows from that? Your specific theism, that's another thing you need to prove. Okay, don't lump the two together. And when you now talk about theists, people that really believe in God, they will also point it out when you are special pleading. When you are not making a case for your own, you are just throwing the other ones out. Whereas when they talk to the other people, for example, let me give you an instance. If the same atheist talks to a Muslim, the Muslim is going to throw everybody out. And if another atheist go and talk to a Christian, that one is going to throw everybody out too. So the idea of many belief system. Okay, and Dr. Craig, he just made a video, by the way, responding to the way the atheists have taken the argument, and they've really attacked him, and they are making like memes and everything. But the point is that he said something about narrowing things down, and I agree with that. So, for instance, we narrow it down to some specific beliefs. Whether you disagree with us or not, it doesn't matter. Some religions don't even call you. Do you understand? Some religions don't care if you believe in their religion or not. I would say Christianity and Islam cares. Christianity and Islam, they do care that you have. We are apologetic. How will I say this? We are oriented to call people towards us. Okay, and we are oriented also to say that you have to believe. So our own motivation is different from the others, and that's why some people even said that Christianity was successful in the Roman society, because they were the only ones saying this objective thing. Okay, so now if you meet a Muslim, we also have the same belief. It's objective. You have to follow us. Okay, so you cannot use the same. You cannot treat us the same. So I would say if there's an atheist, we have to narrow it down to the two religions, Islam and Christianity. That's what I would say. You have to narrow it down to that. You can disagree with it. It doesn't matter. That's why I've changed my approach to all these things. Sometimes all you need to do is just present a case for your religion. Present a case. If somebody likes it, fine. If they don't like it, you cannot do anything about that. You cannot, just leave it, man. Leave it. Move on. Okay? You present a case for your religion. Okay? If they ask you questions why you don't believe in the other religion, you can have arguments. And Christians definitely do. They have a lot of arguments why they will never be Muslims. And Muslims do also. Okay? Protestants and Catholics, they have reasons why they will never be a Catholic. And the Catholics have reasons why it will never be a Protestant. Okay? Now, when all of us are claiming to be true, don't think like those guys will not see it. Okay? So I think that's all I have to say on this issue. The other, I think this is what it will point out to. The first view of God existing is objective. The second view of your particular theism is subjective, at least on a plain level. It can be disagreed with. Whether it is objective in reality, that's another question. We don't know. We might not know. But God existing is necessary. There's no other opinion. But your specific theism, you're going to make a subjective case on the what's it called? On the how will I say this? When you're talking generally, you might believe it. Of course, you believe it. You believe it is truth. But when you're making a case for it, it will sound subjective. It will be subjective because they can see the other guy saying exactly the same thing. So you are going to just leave it at that. That at the end of the day, we'll find out. That's what you leave it at. God existing, there's no maybe we'll find out or not. You have that one is necessary for you to even have meaning. But the other case of your religion, that's going to be subjective. But it doesn't mean it's not true eventually. It can be true eventually. So that's your task. Your task is to clarify and see why you believe it. Okay, so that's what I want to say on this issue. So see you guys later. Let me see what you think in the comment section. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.